I'm sure you have seen and felt that things in Singapore have gotten a lot more expensive lately. Whether it's food, housing, healthcare, or even Chai fan, prices have been going up across the board. In this video, we are going to look at how much income you actually need to live in Singapore. And by that, I don't mean just surviving, where you wake up, go to work, eat, sleep, repeat until you become an old apek or old ama. By living, I'm talking about living with some quality of life. That means the occasional nice meal out, catching a movie, a holiday every once in a while, and for some people, even raising kids. According to the Ministry of Manpower, the latest median gross monthly income in Singapore is $5,500. Now, before you go,
wow, 5.5k? Me and my dog also never earned that much leh.
Technically, you are not wrong. That's because this figure is the median income. It means that half of the people in Singapore earn less than 5.5k, while the other half earn more. So if you are below that line, that's perfectly normal. When we break it down by age, most Singapore residents don't cross the 5.5k mark until they are in their 30s. And if you aren't working as a professional, manager, executive or technician, you likely won't reach the 5.5k mark either. However, I will still use this 5.5k salary since it's often treated as a benchmark in national statistics and media reports. Though, this 5.5k figure includes employer CPF contributions, which means in a way, this number is a little inflated as we don't usually include employer CPF contributions when we talk about salary. So if you want a more realistic median salary, you would need to exclude the employer CPF contributions. In this case, the figure drops to about $4,860. Next, while it's tempting for some people to take most of this money and YOLO into the next new launch condo, a more prudent approach to allocate the money is to use the 50-30-20 budgeting rule. This means allocating 50% of the savings to your needs, such as housing, transport, groceries, and bills, 30% to wants, like dining out, shopping, entertainment, and travel, and the remaining 20% to savings and investments. Quick pause. If you are looking for the cheapest broker to start your investing journey, check out Interactive Brokers. It has the lowest fees for stocks, ETFs, options, and more. Not just that, Interactive Brokers lets you easily research stocks. Like, you want to check out companies' financials? Nah, here it is. You want to check out analyst ratings? Nah, here's a bunch of them. It even has free technical insights which tells you where the stock might possibly go next. So sign up to Interactive Brokers today and let's get back to the video. Now, while the 50-30-20 budgeting rule is a good starting point, I also want to point out that the 20% to savings is actually quite low. That's because how long you need to work before you have enough to retire directly correlates to the percent of your take-home pay that you can set aside every month. For example, if you can only save 20% of your salary, then you have to work for 37 years before you can retire. But if you can just bump your savings rates up to 35%, you will only have to work for 25 years. Nevertheless, for the sake of this video, let's just stick to 20% savings rate. At the same time, we can also only apply the 50-30-20 budgeting rule to our take-home pay and not count our CPF contribution as part of our salary because we can't really use our CPF money for our day-to-day expenses or short-term goals anyway. So while CPF helps with retirement and housing, I felt that it shouldn't be counted as part of our everyday budget. So if we exclude the 20% CPF contribution, the $4,860 salary drops to $3,888 take-home pay. This means we now have around $1,944 for our needs, $1,166.40 for our wants, and the remaining $777.60 for our savings. With that in mind, let's start with the needs first. And the biggest need is, of course, food. Now, even though many online sources put the cost of a meal in Singapore at around $10, thankfully, there's no shortage of affordable food options here, whether it's at hawker centers, coffee shops, or food courts. According to the Makan Index 2.0 project, which was published back in 2023, an average meal which comprises of a drink and neighborhood food places would cost around $5 to $6. Obviously, the prices would have gone up a little since then. And if you dine at city centers, the prices would be a little higher as well. But I would also say that you don't have to order expensive food every single meal. Plus, you can also save on your meal by not ordering drinks and instead drink from your own water bottle or raid the office pantry. Because of that, I would put each meal to be around $6 for lunch, and given that maybe you want to catch up with your friends and family after work, I would give a slightly more generous $12 for dinner. As for breakfast, I feel you can also save money by eating at home before you head out. But I guess there are some days where you just want to eat out. So I will just assign $3 for breakfast. So if you sum it all up, in a day, you will be spending around $21 on your meals. This is actually quite close to what most Singaporeans spend on average. Multiply that by 30 days and you're looking at about $630 a month on food. Next, groceries. If you tend to eat out most of the time, you will likely spend less on groceries. On the flip side, if you cook more at home and do meal prep, you'll probably save on dining out, but spend more at the supermarkets. So since we have already budgeted around $630 for dining out, I will allocate an additional $100 for groceries, just to cover the basics like snacks, fruits, drinks, or the occasional home-cooked meal. Next, transportation. Now, even though the public transport fares have been going up, the reality is that public transport in Singapore is actually still pretty cheap. Not just that, even if you frequently travel all over Singapore, you can still get the monthly concession pass, which effectively capped your monthly travel fare to just $128 a month. But of course, there are certain times where you absolutely have to take private road transport, whether it's because you are rushing for time or you are bringing your family to somewhere where the bird won't even lay eggs, like the goat farm. Yes, I know private transports can sometimes be expensive, but you can still be smart about it by comparing prices across various platforms like Tada, Gojek, and Ride, and go for the cheaper options. Because of that, I will allocate $180 to monthly transport. Next, insurance. This of course depends on your personal protection needs, but the Monetary Authority of Singapore recommends that you shouldn't spend more than 15% of your income on insurance coverage. And given that there are plenty of affordable insurance options available, and as long as you steer clear of expensive and unnecessary plans like investment-linked policies, you should be able to keep your monthly insurance cost to under $250. This leaves us with $784 for all our remaining needs. This can be for your utility bills, town council fees, internet bills, mobile plans, parents' allowance, yearly income tax, medical costs, housing, kids, and so on. For most people, I would say that this is more than enough. For example, my utility bills only cost me around $120 a month, town council fees, $70, internet bills, $30, mobile plan, $10, and the remaining can go to parents' allowance, income tax, medical costs, and so on. But wait, isn't housing and kids supposed to be expensive? Well, for housing, if you already own your own house, chances are your monthly mortgage can be fully covered by your CPF ordinary accounts, especially if you have bought your home that's within your own means. As for kids, especially in the earlier years, the government actually provides quite a bit of financial support through grants, subsidies, and tax reliefs. And while it may not cover everything, it can certainly help to lighten the load. On top of that, most people tend to have kids in their 30s, by which time their earning power is usually higher, making it more financially manageable. Next, let's talk about wants, which we have budgeted around $1,166.40 for. Our first wants would be dining out. Dining out includes eating at restaurants, which usually cost around $15 to $30, drinking Papa Cha or Starbucks, which costs around $10, or even ordering sotong at those nasi padang stores, which typically cost around $15. Because of that, I will probably allocate around $300 a month for dining out. As for entertainment, I personally don't spend much in this area as I don't have any TV or music subscriptions, and I rarely go out for movies. But I do bring my family out occasionally to places like the zoo, goat farms, the science center, or gardens by the bay. Of course, entertainment may look different for everyone. Some people might enjoy nights out, concerts, or streaming subscriptions like Netflix and Spotify. So to keep things balanced, I will allocate around $300 a month to cover entertainment, outings, and leisure activities. This leaves us with about $566.40 for travels and discretionary spend. That's roughly $6,800 a year. With that amount, you could easily afford $4,000 big trip or take a few smaller trips in the $1,000 to $2,000 range and still have enough money left over for things like the latest iPhone, gadgets, clothes, or whatever that you wanted to buy. Pro tip, if you are planning to travel, you can stretch your dollar even further by using miles credit cards and platforms like Haymax, which will let you earn points and redeem points for flight tickets. Over time, these perks can shave hundreds if not thousands of your travel costs. Lastly, for our savings budget, we have about $777.60 a month, or $9,331.20 a year. And that's not even factoring in any interest that you might earn if you park your money in a high-interest savings account, money market fund, or government bonds offering 2 to 3% per annum. Nor are we counting any promotional deals from banks or platforms that could boost your returns, like the UOB Cash is King Savings Bonanza promo, or even sign-up bonuses from investment platforms. At the most basic level, your first savings goal should be to build up an emergency fund, ideally covering at least 6 months of your essential expenses. Once that's in place, start saving for any big upcoming expenses in the next few years, like your wedding, home renovation, or your child's education. And if you still have any money left over, it's time to put those dollars to work. Ideally, you will invest into low-cost, broad-based ETFs, which will give you a steady PE way to grow your wealth and build up your retirement nest egg. So there you have it. With a median income of $4,860, it's definitely possible to live comfortably in Singapore. You can cover your basic needs, enjoy some of your wants, raise a family, and still have room to save and invest. And that's provided if you can manage your money wisely, live within your means, and avoid any unnecessary lifestyle inflation, like buying cars, upgrading to a condo, or spending lavishly. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Let me know down in the comments below. How much do you think is enough to live comfortably in Singapore? I would love to hear your thoughts. Like, share and subscribe as I'll be posting new videos every week.